Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you part 2 of a game between Slush and Huck here on Metalopolis. Let me go ahead and refocus the camera and start this replay again. Phoenix is now able to start gravitating more and more of those beams, or those Hydralisks, but there's too many Hydralisks. Stalkers trying to come in, and now more Stalkers finally joining the fight, and these Stalkers simply outnumber the Hydralisks. Hydralisks do deal more damage per second against a Stalker, but Stalkers have a little bit more hit points, actually significantly more hit points. In addition, and as they also have better movement speed on or off creep, and also have the ability to blink when it has been researched. So creep tumors now slowly making their way across the map. Will this creep tumor be able to burrow in time before those Stalkers are not moving out? But there is an observer in the air to start picking down some of those creep tumors. Slush is not using those or abusing the creep tumors as much as I would like to see him do. And now we are getting the level 1 or level 2 carapace upgrades. Stalkers do not have any upgrades at all. So as this game goes longer and longer, Huck is going to be in a little bit behind. Now finally getting the level 1 research upgrades. Also, we see the amulets now being researched for those High Templar. So High Templar will be able to warp in with enough energy for a Psystorm. Another Phoenix now moving out over here, as there is a hatchery down over here army-wise. Both sides sitting on a very, very small army, but there is enough Baneling splash damage to tear apart the Sentry, Zealot, and these High Templars. High Templars now being forced to come back, as Huck also doing a walk of shame, doing some long-distance mining, as this main mineral patch has been mined out. So doing mining from here. The amulet research has now been completed. So High Templars will be able to do a lot of Psystorm, and we'll see how many how many kills those High Templars can really rack up. Back over here, we do see Huck finishing off the assimilators, and now with this Nexus being completed, Huck will finally catch up in that base race, being able to mine out. We still see that Slush mining out at 1600 every game minute versus 1000 every game minute. Back over here, just Zealots keeping track of everything, as both sides taking a quick breather and trying to regroup their forces. Slush sitting on an 1850 versus a 2600, and I'm curious to see how Huck is going to really try to pressure any longer. He is getting the level 2 weapons upgrade and that Dark Shrine to try to change up his tech a little bit, but I have not seen any Colossi or any Void Rays. Void Rays, however, probably not the best unit of choice, as there are a fair number of Hydralisks. But Colossi may be able to deal a lot of damage to Colossi, and with that splash damage, able to really cut through Hydralisks pretty easily with that additional range upgrade. There is some Spine Crawlers now coming in, so Slush now just playing a really, really defensive game. Zerglings now across the map, trying to make sure that there isn't too many expansions. He wants to make sure that Huck is always behind them in one base. Phoenix now moving out. Spore Crawler able to get off one quick shot and pushing that unit away. And that Acid Spew does 0.86 damage, so the same attack speed as a Marine, but more than twice the damage. Back over here, Zerglings now finishing off and taking on a lot of these probes. So probes of Huck simply getting destroyed, and now Huck down to down to 42 Harvesters, 41 Harvesters, and another Psystorm trying to deal with Zerglings. Psystorming Zerglings when they have free movement like that and no army backup is generally a very, very bad idea. There is observers now across the map, and one Phoenix over here. Phoenix was escorting these Dark Templars, and Dark Templars able to take down that hatchery. There is one Phoenix trying to take down this Overlord over here, and this Overseer may be in trouble as well. This Overseer may get shot down, but instead Slush is still going after that one unit over there. Mutalisk gonna come in and perhaps try to do a little bit of pressure, and wow, that Phoenix gets shot down very, very quickly. And Dark Templars now still racking up the kills, moving around the map. One on that Xel'Naga watchtower, as these Mutalisks are gonna go ahead and fly by, not notice that Dark Templar there, as there's no shimmer, as it's not moving. Back over here, we do have a fair 8 High Templars or 7 High Templars for some Psystorm. Psystorm really needs to be used in order to take down some of these Mutalisks, and now Mutalisks just trying to just push a little bit away, and no, are those units going to be able to really do anything? Sentry's also getting a couple quick hits as well, and those Mutalisks are just going to get torn apart. A Psystorm being cast on top of his own units there, and Mutalisk now finally getting torn apart, but after trying to chase down, a nice Archon merge to save 2 very low hit point units there, as those Stalkers continue to put a little bit of pressure. 3,900 army versus 4,225, and we see Roaches now joining the army of Slush. So Slush now training Roaches and also getting some additional creep tumors. So we are going to have a very, very large Roach army. The Roaches have a very, very fast movement speed of 3.9. So Roaches on creep are going to be able to move very quickly. We do not have the yes, we do have the movement speed upgrade, so the centrifugal hooks have been researched for those banelings, so that will be able to deal a lot of damage. However, one Dark Templar quickly getting taken down over here. A Spine Crawler trying to come in position, as we also have an Overlord here. So Overlord generating that creep so that Spine Crawler doesn't take too much damage, and a hatchery being placed down 1, 2 over here. So Slush really trying to get back into this economic game, but now we have mass Zealots. Zealots are upgraded 2-0, so they have a decent amount of weapons upgrade, but I think it only matches the armor upgrades. Yeah, armor upgrades of the Roaches and those Zerglings. So those Zealots will not be able to one-hit any of those units, as these Roaches are now going to engage. Banelings are in position, and this is just a bad fight. Such a perfect arch for these Roaches. Zealots are just going to get torn apart. Finally, force fields come into play as those Roaches are trying to scamper around. This one Archon with a range of 2 unable to really get any real damage in there. Finally coming in and able to do some splash damage. Psystorm coming in as well, but those Roaches have a decent amount of health, but cannot take 5 or 4 consecutive Psystorms like that. Really need to burrow, and now gonna go ahead and take even more Psystorm. Things are not looking good at all. So many Roaches, so low on hit points, and Slush without burrow. That is really, really bad when you're investing so much into these units. But Zerglings now coming back around, and Zerglings will be able to finish off the rest of this army of Huck. Huck's Archon's very, very low on hit points, down to 243. Down it's going to go as these Roaches. I'm waiting for a burrow to be researched, as Slush really needs to regenerate some of those Roaches. Zealots now trying to engage. Those Roaches do have 3 armor, so those Zealots are only dealing 14 damage per attack. Back over here, a lot of High Templars, 5 High Templars, 1 or 2 good Psystorms will take down half of these Roaches and leave the rest in the red. There are 2 Warp Gates over here, creating off a nice wall. They're going to have to walk in a single file line to try to take down any of these photon cannons or get through this positioning over here. And those 3 photon cannons should be able to pick off a fair number of units. 1 Dark Templar now moving over here, may be able to take down this hatchery, and this 1 Dark Templar with 12 kills. So Dark Templar still moving across the map. Huck with 2 Dark Templars, 5 High Templars, and it's still anyone's game. I'm still hoping that at some point Slush, finally researching Burrow, so that those low hit point Roaches will be able to regenerate. By researching Burrow, he essentially gets about another 8 to 10 fresh Roaches. Definitely worth the energy and the minerals and gas. 1 Dark Templar quickly going to get torn apart there, but the hatchery now in the, now bleeding a little bit, but not too bad. Zerglings standing over here as well. High Templars and Stalkers once again on the move. Huck with the smaller army, and Huck definitely behind now. He's behind in the Harvester count, and he is also behind in the army count, but he can still get back into those. Those Psystorms are really gonna really matter a lot. I do not see any. Is there an infestation pit? Yes, there is an infestation pit, but I do not see any infestors just quite yet. Fungal growth with those banelings would be absolutely huge, as well as Zealots and those High Templars would be unable to move, taking so much of that splash damage. Banelings, when they are, banelings, when they are upgraded like that, I need to find a couple banelings for you. Do not remember the attack upgrades on a baneling, as it never attacks more than once. So able to deal 43 damage against those Zealots. So 43 in I believe a radius of 2, yeah, I believe it's a radius of 2. It's slightly larger than a force field. I think a force field has a diameter of 2.9. Back over here, there is a burrowed Zergling hiding in the grass, and there's also another burrowed Zergling hiding here. So Slush will be able to deny any sort of expansion until an observer heads over. Huck now finishing this nexus over here, and now macroing up a large army, and now Huck with the stronger army. So somehow Slush has allowed Huck to really macro up the larger army, and now we see Slush sitting at 4775, and now also sitting at max food count with 1500 minerals. So I got to assume that Slush is just going to try to start massing up larvae, and then if he can get a very, very strong economy and very, very strong production going, just constantly throw more and more units out there. Creep tumors slowly making their way across the map now, so these creep tumors will be able to increase the movement speed of those Roaches and those banelings for those suicidal runs. Slush does not have the ventral sacs upgrade, so with no ventral sac upgrades or the movement speed upgrades, there's not going to be any sort of bombing runs anytime soon. Zealots now trying to run into and get into a charge. Now banelings rolling through, and banelings just dying by the mass to Psystorm. Beautifully done. Roaches now taking so much damage, and now Slush in definite trouble. Are they going to be able to get in position? But more Psystorms coming in, and both sides taking heavy casualties, but Huck still with the advantage. More Stalkers trying to come into the rear, trying to engage even further, and Slush taking so much damage on these roaches. Perhaps needs to burrow them, and now out come Ultralisk. Ultralisk are going to start slicing through this army. Is it going to be enough? Zerglings, Ultralisk trying to push through 1300 versus 2225. Ultralisk with that slight splash, but Immortals dealing 50 damage per attack. Archon's also dealing, I believe, 43 damage with that upgrade. Yeah, 43 damage with that level 2 weapons upgrade. Zerglings now will be able to try to finish off, and those Immortals are going to get taken down. So Huck did a really strong push, but now Huck behind, as you can see the production of Slush producing so many units, and now Ultralisk and Roaches moving out. There are some Immortals sitting here. Zerglings running straight through that Psy Storm, and now an Archon being merged. These Immortals trying to come through. Are they going to be able to deal enough damage? We do have the Crackling upgrade on the Adrenal Glands, but that one Archon with 43 damage per attack, able to one-hit a Zergling with a slight splash. Back over here, we are getting more and more Ultralisk. 4 Ultralisk now being trained up, as these Ultralisk have an amazing 6 armor. Those Zealots are not going to be able to deal anything through that armor as well. Zerglings now trying to run back around, perhaps trying to get some of these buildings down over here, denying expansion of Huck. Zealots being forced to try to put a little bit of a chase, but now in comes some Ultralisk, and Ultralisk able to catch a lot of these units off guard as these Zerglings are finishing off this expansion over here. But the Immortals are just going to be too much, focusing down those last couple of Ultralisk. More Stalkers and more Zealots now being warped in as an Observer moves on in as well. We also have an Archon. Those Archons getting a plenty of kills, 16 kills on one of those, as the army of Slush very, very low. Taking a look at the production, 48 Zerglings, 3 Corruptors, and a level 3 Claw attack upgrade. So those Ultralisk will be able to deal, I believe, already dealing 48 damage, will be able to deal, I believe, 52 damage per attack, and 52 damage per attack makes it their claw attack damage faster and better than their ram ability against buildings. So wow, once again, this is going to be a really crazy game so far, as both sides are now trying to regroup. Back over here, there is one Observer, and a Zergling quickly runs away, as there was an Observer trying to spot this down. A Nexus most likely going to be placed down in just a moment, as a Zergling hiding in the vents. Is that Zergling going to come back and re-burrow itself? That's going to be the question, and try to deny that expansion once again. More High Templars here. Taking a look at the losses, 33,000 losses for Huck, 27,000 for Slush, but Slush does not have the stronger army, and now we see the Nidus network being produced. Also, the level 3 weapons attack upgrade on an evolution chamber that I cannot currently find, because there's multiple of them. Hydralist, and keep track of the mini-map. Where is that evolution chamber? Okay, I know there's... Okay, there it is. And over here, so it's going to take about another 110 units of time to complete. Stay tuned for part 3 of this replay between Slush and Huck here on Metalopolis.